Chapter 1. A Cry in the Dust. The late afternoon sun beat down on the prairie, turning the horizon into a wavering line of heat. Dust clung to the brim of Ethan Cole's hat and coated the sweat-darkened leather of his saddle. His horse, a gray gelding named Buck, snorted and shook its mane, weary from a long day's ride. Ethan slowed the animal near the dry riverbed, letting the rein slacken. The land here was quiet, too quiet. No bird song, no whisper breeze to mesquite. Only the creak of saddle leather and the low rasp of cicadas. Then, carried faintly across the stillness, he heard it, a sound, soft, fragile, almost drowned by the buzzing of the insects. Ethan straightened in the saddle. "You hear that, Buck?" he muttered, tugging his hat back. The horse flicked an ear. The sound came again, higher this time, a thin, wavering cry, like the mew of a kitten. He swung down from the saddle, boots hitting the ground with a puff of red dust. His spurs jingled as he moved, scanning the brush and rocks. "Hello!" His voice echoed, swallowed by silence. Then it came once more, a broken cry, followed by something that made his blood run cold. "Mama?" It wasn't wind. It wasn't an animal. Ethan's jaw clenched as he followed the sound to a mound of burlap, half buried near the riverbed. Kneeling, he yanked at the rough sack. Inside, something stirred. His heart hammered as he pulled it open and froze. A baby. The child's face was pale, lips cracked, eyes barely open, wrapped in filthy rags, skin thin as parchment. The infant gave a weak whimper and clutched his finger with astonishing strength. "Lord Almighty," Ethan whispered, voice thick. "Who could leave you out here?" He glanced around, scanning the barren land. No wagon tracks, no riders in sight. Whoever had abandoned the child was long gone, or watching from the hills. His hand instinctively brushed the butt of his revolver before he scooped the child up, cradling it against his chest. The baby nuzzled weakly against him, whispering that broken word again, "Mama." Ethan's throat tightened. His life had been guns, cattle drives, and lonely trails. He had never held a child in his arms before. Yet something in him shifted like dry earth after rain. He felt the weight of a promise forming, heavy as the colt on his hip. He stood, dust swirling around his boots, the sun bleeding red against the horizon. "Don't you worry, little one," he murmured, tucking the baby close as Buck whickered anxiously. "I'll see you safe. Whoever left you to die will have to reckon with me." With the prairie stretching wide and dangerous ahead, Ethan mounted up, the sack abandoned in the dust. He rode toward the faint glow of Silver Creek, carrying not just a child, but a destiny he hadn't been looking for. Chapter 2. The Saloon Widow. Silver Creek was alive with noise when Ethan rode in, the baby bundled in his arms and Buck's hooves clopping against the hard-packed street. The sun had just dipped low, casting a copper glow over the crooked row of buildings. The general store shuttering its windows, the blacksmith hammering out a last blow, and the saloon spilling music and laughter through swinging doors. Ethan pulled Buck to a halt outside the Silver Star Saloon, its paint faded, its sign swinging gently in the breeze. The child stirred against his chest, whimpering softly, and he tightened his grip. Inside, the saloon was thick with the smell of tobacco and whiskey. Cards slapped against tables, boots scuffed the warped floorboards, and a piano stumbled to a tune while cowhands shouted for more drink. Every eye shifted when Ethan stepped in, dust-covered, hat pulled low, cradling something in his arms that didn't belong in a place like this. "Evening," Cole, one of the gamblers, called, a sneer tugging his lip. "Didn't take you for the nursing type." Ethan ignored the laughter and strode to the bar. Behind it stood Clara Dawson, sleeves rolled up, auburn hair pinned back, a woman whose gaze could cut sharper than a Bowie knife. Widowed 5 years, she kept the saloon running by sheer grit, fighting off creditors, drunks, and her own loneliness. She eyed the bundle. What in God's name have you dragged in here? Ethan set the baby gently on the counter. Found her out by the riverbed. Someone left her to die. The saloon went quiet, the words heavy as lead. Clara's brows knit, but she reached out despite herself. The baby's tiny hand shot out, gripping her finger with desperate strength. Clara sucked in a breath. Her hardened facade faltered just a fraction. She needs milk, Ethan said, his voice low but steady, and a roof for the night. My ranch is too far till dawn. Clara shook her head, pulling her hand free as it burned. I run whiskey and cards, not a nursery. You'd best take that child elsewhere. The baby whimpered, the sound piercing through the din. Clara flinched, glanced away, then back. Beneath the weight of Ethan's steady stare, her resolve wavered. She remembered nights spent weeping alone when her own dreams had died with her husband, and how she swore never open her heart again. Please, Ethan said simply. No pride, no swagger, just a cowboy asking for mercy. Clara exhaled, shoulders sagging. One night, that's all. Upstairs room's empty. But come morning, Cole, this little mess is yours alone. Ethan nodded once, tipping his hat. Relief softened his rugged features. The baby, as if sensing victory, cooed and clung tighter to Clara's finger. And though she muttered under her breath about foolish cowboys and lost causes, Clara felt something stir in her chest. A crack in the wall she had built, fragile as glass in the dusty glow of the saloon lamps. Chapter 3. Whispers of the Outlaw Trail. Morning light spilled into Silver Creek, painting the street gold as wagons rattled and ranch hands called to one another. Inside the Silver Star Saloon, Clara leaned against the bar, arms folded tight across her chest. The baby lay swaddled in a borrowed quilt on a corner table, sleeping soundly after a warm bottle of milk. But the peace didn't sit easy. Whispers had already started. Two ranch hands muttered near the door. Heard the kid belongs to one, Black Jack Turner's women. She died up north, left it behind. Turner's crew won't let that stand. The other replied grimly, if they hear Cole's got the babe, he'll be a dead man. So anyone near him. Clara's jaw tightened. She glanced at Ethan, who sat at a table, hat low, sipping bitter coffee. He heard it too. She could tell by the way his hand hovered near his holster, thumb brushing the worn handle. You knew this, didn't you? She said, striding over. Her boots tapped sharp against the creaking planks. Ethan lifted his gaze, calm but steady. Figured as much. Outlaws don't leave things behind without reason. But I ain't about to let some child pay the price for their sins. Clara bristled. And what about the rest of us? You bring that baby in here. You bring danger to my doorstep. Men like Turner don't just kill, they burn everything in their path. Ethan set down the cup, rising slow. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dust still clinging to his clothes, but there was something unshakable in his stance. Then let him come. I've faced worse. Clara wanted to laugh at his foolish bravado, yet when the baby stirred and let out a tiny cry, her throat constricted. She hurried to the child, scooping her up before Ethan could move. The baby's fist clutched her blouse, refusing to let go. Damn it, Clara whispered, pressing the infant against her shoulder. You shouldn't even be here. You should have been born to a mother who could love you without fear. Ethan's voice softened. Maybe she has. Clara froze, the words hanging between them heavier than any bullet. Her pulse quickened, though she masked it with a sharp glare. Don't go putting ideas in my head. Cole, I've buried enough hope to last a lifetime. From outside, hoofbeats thundered past, a reminder of the world closing in. The saloon patrons shifted uneasily, the rumors spreading like wildfire. Ethan moved closer, lowering his voice. I'll take her back to my ranch tonight. Safer there. But if Turner's gang comes sniffing, I'll need to know. His eyes searched hers. "Are you with me, Clara?" For a long moment, Clara stared at him, torn between fear and something deeper she didn't dare name. The baby nestled against her heartbeat, as if already deciding the answer for her. Chapter 4, Gunpowder in Gentle Hands. The moon hung low and silver over the prairie, casting long shadows across Ethan's ranch. The night was quiet, too quiet. Crickets had gone still, and Buck, tethered near corral, pawed nervously at the dirt. Inside the small cabin, the baby slept in a wooden cradle Ethan had hastily built that afternoon. Clara sat nearby, arms crossed, pretending she wasn't watching the child with protective eyes. Ethan loaded cartridges into his Winchester by lamplight, the metallic click echoing through the still room. "You look like a man expecting trouble," Clara said, her voice low, taut with unease. Ethan glanced up. "I've seen the signs before. Quiet like this means riders in the dark." He snapped the chamber shut. "Turner's men won't stop till they get what they came for." As if summoned, a sharp whistle cut across the prairie. Buck neighed, spooked. Then hoofbeats. Fast. Closing in. Ethan blew out the lamp. "Stay down." The cabin door rattled as bullets tore through the wood. Clara ducked, dragging the cradle behind the table. Splinters rained across the floor. Ethan pushed the door open a crack and fired, his rifle flashing orange in the night. A cry went up outside, a man toppling from his horse. More gunfire answered. The baby wailed, the sound cutting through Clara's chest like a blade. She grabbed the Winchester leaning by the wall, hands trembling. Ethan turned, eyes narrowing. "You ever fired one?" Clara swallowed. "No, but I can damn well learn tonight." He gave a quick nod, no time for doubt. He crouched beside her, guiding her grip on the stock, his rough hand steadying hers. "Breathe out slow. Squeeze, don't yank." Another bullet shattered the window. Clara gasped but forced her gaze to the dark shapes moving outside. She pulled the trigger. The rifle cracked against her shoulder, smoke curling in the air. A shadow stumbled and fell. Her heart hammered. Her hands shook. Ethan's steady touch anchored her. "You did good," he murmured, close enough that she felt the warmth of his breath. The fight raged on. Ethan picked off another rider, while Clara, braver now, fired again, her fear hardening into resolve. Finally, after a tense eternity, silence reclaimed the night. The outlaws had scattered, leaving bodies and hoofprints in the dust. Clara lowered the rifle, chest heaving. Her knees buckled, and she sat hard on the floor. Ethan crouched beside her, taking her shaking hands in his thumbs brushing over the raw bruises forming where the rifle had kicked. "You got grit, Clara Dawson," he said softly. Her eyes met his, searching his rugged face lit by moonlight through the shattered window. Something unspoken passed between them. Fear, relief, the dangerous pull of two lonely souls bound by one fragile child. For the first time in years, Clara didn't feel entirely alone. Chapter 5, Secrets at Sunset. The sky stretched wide and burning as the sun sank behind the distant ridges, painting the land in strokes of crimson and gold. Ethan leaned against the corral fence, hat tipped low, watching the cattle graze in the fading light. Beside him, Clara stood quiet, the baby nestled against her chest in a soft quilt. Coyotes yipped faintly on the horizon, their voices carrying through the stillness. It should have felt peaceful, but tension lay thick in the air. Clara broke the silence first. "How long before they come back?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "By dawn, I reckon. Turner don't take kindly to losing a fight. He'll bring more men next time." She looked down at the baby, who had drifted asleep, tiny fingers curled around the fabric of her blouse. Clara's throat worked. "I swore I'd never let myself get tangled again. in trouble, in love, in anything that could cost me more than I've already lost. Ethan turned, studying her face. The fiery saloonkeeper seemed softer now in the golden light, her eyes shadowed with old sorrow. "What happened, Clara?" he asked gently. Her lips trembled before she pressed them firm. "My husband gambled everything we had, the saloon, the house, even the land my daddy left me. When he couldn't pay his debt, he left me to face the wolves alone. Died in a card game fight, before I could even curse his name. Since then, I've run the saloon with one rule: trust no man." She shook her head, blinking hard. "But here I am, letting a cowboy and a babe crack me wide open." Ethan's gaze fell to the dust at his boots. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then his voice came low and rough. "I know about losing. I wasn't always the man you see. Rode with a gang once, back when I was young and stupid. We stole, we drank, we killed. Thought it made us men. But one night, I fired a shot that hit the wrong soul, a farmer trying to protect his wife. That's when I walked away. Been trying to make it right ever since, though a man can never outrun his sins." Clara's breath caught. She hadn't expected such raw honesty. She reached out almost without thinking, her fingers brushing the scar on his knuckle, the one that looked carved by violence and regret. "Maybe you're not the only one trying to atone." Their eyes met, and the world seemed to hold its breath. The prairie wind stirred her hair across her cheek. Ethan reached to tuck it back, his touch lingering just a heartbeat too long. The baby shifted between them, sighing softly, as if sealing their unspoken promise. Ethan finally whispered, "Whatever comes tomorrow, we'll face it together. You, me, and this little one." Clara swallowed hard, tears prickling. For the first time in years, the word family didn't feel like a wound. It felt like hope. Chapter 6. A new family forged in fire. Dawn crept over the horizon, pale light washing the prairie in shades of gray. The air was sharp and still, heavy with the knowledge of what was coming. Ethan stood on the porch of his cabin, Winchester in hand, every nerve alive. Clara was behind him, the baby bundled close against her chest. Hoofbeats broke the silence, dozens of them, rolling like thunder. Dust clouds rose in the distance as Turner's gang approached, a swarm of shadows against the morning sun. Their laughter carried across the open land, cruel and mocking. Ethan adjusted his hat and glanced back at Clara. "Stay inside. Bar the door. Don't open it unless you hear my voice." Clara met his eyes, steady and unflinching. "You'll need me," he almost argued, but then he remembered the night she had stood beside him, rifle in hand, trembling but unbroken. He gave a small nod. "All right, then we stand together." The riders fanned out, guns glinting in the newborn light. At their head rode Black Jack Turner himself, long black coat, scar cutting down his cheek, eyes cold as stone. He pulled his horse to a halt, grinning at Ethan. "Cole, you got something belongs to me." His voice was a growl, roughened by whiskey and hate. "Hand over the brat, and maybe I'll let you live." Ethan leveled the Winchester, voice calm but carrying. "You abandoned her. She ain't yours. She's got a new family now." Turner's grin soured. "Then you'll die with her." The first shot rang out, and the battle erupted. Gunfire thundered, smoke filling the air. Horses screamed as men fell. Ethan dropped 2 riders in quick succession, his aim steady as stone. Clara fired from the cabin doorway, the kick of the rifle bruising her shoulder, but she didn't flinch. Bullets tore splinters from the porch post near Ethan's head. He dove for cover, rolled, and fired back, sending another outlaw tumbling into the dirt. Through the chaos, Turner charged, pistol raised. The world slowed. Ethan's rifle jammed. Turner grinned, lining up his shot. Then Clara stepped forward, eyes blazing, and fired. Turner jerked, staggered, and collapsed in the saddle, dust rising around him. Silence fell, broken only by the labored breaths of the wounded. The gang scattered, their leader dead, their will broken. The prairie lay quiet again, bathed in the first full light of morning. Ethan lowered his rifle, chest heaving. Clara stood frozen, smoke still curling from the barrel of her gun. He crossed to her, gently taking the weapon from her shaking hands, setting it aside. Then he cupped her face, thumb brushing away the tear that had slipped free. "You saved me," he whispered. She looked at him, eyes wet but fierce. "No, Ethan, we saved each other." The baby stirred, letting out a soft coo, as if to claim them both. Ethan wrapped an arm around Clara, drawing her close. Together, with the child between them, they stood in the golden sunrise, bloodied, weary, but unbroken. A cowboy, a saloon widow, and an abandoned babe. A family born of fire, forged in dust, and bound by love in the untamed heart of the Wild West. The sun dipped low over the plains, spilling fire across the horizon. Dust rose in golden swirls as the prairie wind carried the faint notes of a saloon piano from Silver Creek, mingling with the soft wicker horses in the corral. The battle was over. Turner's men had ridden off or fallen where they stood. The land was quiet again, scarred but alive. Clara stood at the fence line, the baby cradled against her heart. Her hair caught the light like copper flame, strands lifting in the evening breeze. Ethan walked toward her, his step slow, his face weary but softened with something deeper than relief. They stopped inches apart. For a long moment, they said nothing, only listened to wind and the distant coyotes greeting the night. Then Clara's eyes, bright with unshed tears, found his. "You gave me something I thought I'd buried a long time ago," she whispered. "Hope." Ethan reached out, brushing a thumb across her cheek, rough hand trembling just slightly. "And you gave me a reason to lay my ghost to rest. You and this little one, you're all I'll ever need." The baby stirred, letting out a soft sigh as if sealing the vow. Clara leaned into him, and Ethan's arm wrapped firm around them both. Together, they looked west, where the last light bled across the wide sky. A cowboy, a saloon widow, and a child. 3 souls once broken, now bound together beneath the endless Wild West sunset.